FOURce. It's FOURce, YouTube toy, collect the team, vlogging to save the day. FOURce. Nostalgic vintage toy heroes. FOURce.
Hey folks, Borders Dude here. I'm back with another video, but this time it's a FOURce video. This is a response to Rudy's original video of Holy Grails. Have you picked them up or haven't you? I'm also doing this to fulfill Rich's Holy Grail as well by getting me to do another FOURce video. So Merry Christmas, Rich. When it comes to Holy Grails, I have what I consider 4 Holy Grails. I have 3 of them, and you can probably guess at least one of them if you've been following my channel long enough. It is, of course, G1 Ultra Magnus. As a kid, I only ever seen bits of Ultra Magnus. It was either just the white prime cab, or some kid had the cab and the trailer, but no gun, no accessories. Sometimes seen like loose missile sections at people's houses. It was very strange. I only ever once seen one guy who was a bit of a spoiled brat, and that Retro Prime knows. He always had his figures on display. Now, he never seemed to play with his figures, which was a bit weird. I always thought as a kid. But, you know, each to their own, he's still a bit weird today, to be honest. However, I now do have Ultra Magnus, and it's a lovely Holy Grail. This is actually the second one I've purchased. Back in the early 2000s, along with the Takara collection that came out with, you know, originally with Jazz and Prowl, I did also pick up a boxed G1 Ultra Magnus. It was only missing the tech spec, which had been cut out, but everything else was there, including the poster, the polystyrene. But as you do when you're a male in your early 20s, at least at that time when the geek culture wasn't quite as prevalent as it is now, you kind of have that crisis where it's like, maybe I'm a bit too old to collect toys, so I got shot at all. I picked up a few Transformer figures, such as the Red Sideburn, because that was out at the time. And you know, I got rid of them. G1 Menasor that I picked up, because just like, well, you know, I'm an adult, should really be collecting these things, but different times now, and I'm more comfortable with my skin as a 30-something adult. So yep, I went and repurchased a G1 Ultra Magnus on eBay, and he's been the one that stayed with me ever since, and still pride of place on my Ultra Magnus shelf. So on to my Holy Grails number 2 and 3. And this is from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Now, when that came out, I was in the last year of primary school, and the way it works in Scotland is you get 7 years in primary, and then you move on to secondary education. So at that point there, I was kind of moving away from toys at that time. Still like the odd one here and there, but I think my parents also thought that maybe I was just getting a bit too old for toys at that point as well. So, and the 2 things I wanted from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was the Megazord and Dragonzord, and unfortunately I never did get them. I can remember after Christmas I got the cheaper version of the Megazord, which had the Saber-Tooth Tiger and Triceratops detachable, and also the fists, more missiles that you could fire off, but it just wasn't the same because it didn't have those decombining options and recombining. I was actually quite gutted for a little while. I completely understand why my parents didn't do it. Like I say, I was getting older, and I was really more into console stuff such as a Mega Drive and getting Mega Drive games at that point anyway. But hey ho, it was what it was, and sort of fast forward to a good few years, a few years later, a couple of decades later, and I'm in Tesco's. It was put on Twitter that Tesco's were getting the 2010 Mighty Morphin Power Ranger range in. That it was like a relaunch in the US where they just like sort of re-showed the original series, but they also made brand new figures and brand new Zords out of the original designs. So I seen this in its box, and I picked it up, and I was just like a kid again at Christmas. I didn't want to put it down, and my wife came across to me and just sort of went, oh, "You want that for Christmas?" And I was like, "Yes," and she took it off me, and that was stored away for Christmas of that year. And it's cool. It's a brilliant updated version of the original Megazord. So I sort of said to the people on Twitter that, you know, I've got this, I've got the 2010 Megazord for Christmas that year. My wife's got it, blah blah. I never had the original Megazord, and we just started a conversation with, he's called The Cull on Twitter, and he was saying, well look, I've got Megazord, do you want to buy it from me? I've got the original one. I was like, oh, maybe. And I said, how about a trade? We eventually came to a deal where I traded a few third-party and official Transformers for the G1 Megazord, the original Megazord. And here it is, and absolutely love the 2010 Megazord, but having this one as well is just a lovely bit of recaptured youth. It's a lot more clunkier, chunkier, but just to have it is absolutely lovely. And of course we got to talking about the Dragonzord figure, and he's quite expensive, and the Cull really wasn't wanting to sell or give away his one that he had, because like a lot of people, the Green Ranger and the Dragonzord are the favourite Zord of choice. Just look on any sort of Power Ranger forum, you'll see that, particularly if they're in the age bracket of me. They'll say that to you, and so I thought, oh well, I've got the Megazord, and wow, had it brilliant, absolutely fantastic, smooth trade, never a problem dealing with Martin the Cull, and speak to him at TFN every time I'm there. Really nice guy. So I'm shopping one day with the wife, doing the food shopping, boring stuff, I know, but I get this voicemail on my phone, and it's the Cull, and he's saying he's at a toy fair, and they've got the Dragonzord there for, I think it was £40 or maybe £30, I can't remember, and he's like, I'll piece together a good one for you. And I'm like, oh man. And my wife's like, what is it? And I'll explain. She's like, oh, okay, tell me get, and I'll get for you Christmas as well. And I was like, really? And yeah, and she did. She got this from Martin. He pieced it together from 2 Dragonzords. The only thing that's missing from this guy is there's like a little handle for when he combines with the original Megazord, and to make the Mega Dragonzord, I think it is. But that's quite a common piece to miss. Hard pieces like this bit were there, and thanks to my wife for buying it, and Martin from just thinking of me, I now had that Christmas coming not only the 2010 Megazord, but the Dragonzord to combine with the Megazord that I bought off Martin that year, and wow. So again, I've had these in storage since I moved and don't know why now, so they've got to find a place on my action figure shelf because they should fit. Might have to move in and chuck a few things in storage to make way for them, but so chuffed to have these 2 guys. And just look at that, these 2 guys in my figure collection. So my final Holy Grail is the one I don't have yet, and it is Centurion's Max Ray. Now I don't have, unfortunately, a video program that can do a picture-in-picture where I'd put there, so here's a jump cut. The reason why it's Max Ray in particular as opposed to Ace McLeod and Jake Rockwell is because I always used to see this figure in a shop in Edinburgh called What Everyone Wants. I always remember the shop because it used one of the songs from Dave Shotton's favourite band, Status Quo, What Everyone Wants, as their advert jingle. And I always used to go there around about Christmas time. It was a store that had 3 levels, and one of them was a toy level. And for years it seemed there was always a couple of Max Rays just as you were going onto a set of steps. They're sort of tucked away in the corner. And I seen them and I always looked at them and thought, yeah, maybe, but for some reason in my mind I always thought, oh, he's probably too expensive and my parents will say no. Just sometimes the way my brain worked when I was younger. They also had the Centurion's Power Pack pegged up with other sort of random figures such as like Pirates of the Dark Water. figures, so it gives you an idea of the timeline that that was still sitting on in that store. Now, unfortunately, what everyone wants isn't a trading company anymore, and that place in Edinburgh where it was is now a dingy looking set of flats just over the bridges. So it's quite a shame that I never did just sort of pluck up the courage and say to my parents, "Oh, can I have this place?" It just wasn't one of the things I did. So the only way now, because there really isn't any toy fairs near my area as far as I'm aware anyway, I might have to research it, but it's going to be eBay. The only sort of convention I'll go to is TF Nation, and sellers don't bring a lot of non-Transformer stuff, which makes sense because it is a Transformers convention. So eBay it is in the new year. I'm going to see if I can track down the last of my Holy Grails. Well folks, that's my Figure Force video, Holy Grails. What's your Holy Grails in your collection? Do you have any? Do you want any? Leave it in the comments below, let me know. Please, if you do like our Figure Force videos, please, a little subscribe would go a long way. Thank you very much again to the guys who have stayed with me. I've went past that 200 mark. Thank you very much, your support means a lot to me. I'm really enjoying making not only the Transformer videos, but also the Figure Force videos with the rest of the guys. So as always folks, be excellent to each other.